All right, guys, today we're going to talk about how you could quickly size someone up on the field just by looking at a few things. I will say this before we get into it. It's really not as important as you think, because if you're fighting objectively, like objective based fighting for the kingdom, really you're just following markers. Where you're in VC, that's ideal, right? You just follow whatever they're telling you to do. You get in the ball and then you just push, right? It doesn't really matter who's on the other side. Whether you think you could take them or not, you're still going to go in, right? So this is more like a little fun thing. These are just my opinions, some thought process that go through my head. But when you're really fighting objectively, you're just following directions. This doesn't matter. So if you click on someone's profile, both of these screens don't show up. You actually just get the screen on the left. That's what it looks like when it's on the PC. If it's on the phone, it looks a bit different. But if you're fighting, you probably shouldn't be on the phones. But, get a PC if you're not playing on the PC. Right now, if you click on like more info on one of those little tabs on the bottom, it will actually show this screen here. You could get a little bit more info, but it's not that necessary. If you could just get these three pieces of information, right? So ID, power, kill points. Then you look at the number of marches they have. For the most part, you can form a pretty good picture. So let's actually go over what these things mean to me, right? So ID is how long they have been playing relative to me. So if you look at my ID, I have a 132 ID, or 132 million. I started in July of 2022, right? And I like to use what I call like the 33 million rule. Last time I calculated it, at least that's where about it was at. If someone has 33 million less than me on their ID number, that means they're probably a year, they've been playing a year older than me, right? If they're at, say, 99, they've probably been playing a year longer than me. If they're at 165, that means they probably started around July of 2023, right? At least that's how I kind of quickly calculate it. The power here, to me, the biggest thing it shows is their level of spend, right? So when it comes to power, right now I'm at 70 million. Also, context matter, right? Towards the end of KVK, someone's just been killing off a lot of troops. It's a lot harder to gauge. But usually if someone's running about 70 million powers towards the beginning and the middle of the KVK, they're at 70 million or lower. That indicates to me that they're probably a free to play or a low spend. And then they're at like about 95 million and above. They're either high spend, which means they're probably spending more than me, or if I look at their ID and then their kill points really low, or they have low deads, then that means that they probably just aren't really killing off their troops, and they're just been accumulating troops over KVK, and that's how they got to high power. So it matters, but when you look at power relative to a couple of other numbers, you can start getting an idea whether you're guessing the guy's a spender or not. This third one is kill points. Kill points to me, it's pretty obvious. It shows their effectiveness at materializing their times played and spent onto the field, right? Because the higher kill points you have, that means, right, your combination of spend, your amount of time played, and then really your skill level fighting, the combination of those three, and maybe even the amount of time you're playing, like fighting. Some people just aren't spending that much time fighting. It's actually showing a number, right? Now, the ID number and the kill point number combined, you start getting a sense of how effective they are per KVK, at least recently, right? So for example, if I run into someone on the field and let's just say they're at 7 billion KP, which is like more than 3 times where I'm at, but their ID number is like 6 digits, right? So 6 digits is not even a million. Let's just say it's like 700 something thousand. That means they probably created their account in 2018, right? So at this point now, they have almost like 4+ years on me. And if you have 4+ years on me and you only have 5 billion more KP than me, and you just just rough math, right? Let's just say you play 4 KVKs a year, right? So that means, let's just say they had 4 years on me, and they had 16 more KVKs than me, and they only have 5 billion more kill points. That means even though they have a much higher kill point, they're probably not as effective on the field, where they're progressing lower, right? Either they're actually a way lower spender than me, or their activity levels is low, or they're just not a good fighter. So that's kind of like an easy way to gauge how effective you think someone is on the field. Number of marches is probably by far the most important thing to me because it determines their top end output, right? Going to 2268, by far the biggest whale there is Peacemaker. Okay, this isn't being disrespectful, but I don't care what march Peacemaker uses, what equipment he has, what armaments he has, like his crystal tech. If I have 6 marches and he has 1, and I see him on the field, I know I could take him just because when you have more and more marches, not only do they have like extra buff and debuffs, but like when you are surrounding someone, for every extra person surrounding a target, you get 2% extra damage. They take 2% extra damage. There's just a lot of benefits for having a higher number. So for me right now, in general, I have the rule of 2, right? So I have 6 marches. I'm pretty confident I could take on most people that have 4 marches, unless it's like an ultimate Kraken, like this, like where the spend is much, much higher. I could probably take them. I'm pretty confident anyone where I have 3 more marches than them, I could take them. If I have 6 and they have 5, it depends. I have an advantage. I'm willing to engage with them, even if I think they're the same level of spend. They've been playing a year longer. I think I at least probably have an advantage. And for me, right, my ID, I would say it's still considered relatively young, and it's very, very rare right now that I see someone as a mid spender, which is what I'm at, that's running 6 marches. So if someone is running 6 marches on the field, usually I assume they could probably beat me in the field, and unfortunately that's just reality of it. I need a little bit more time to catch up, but the number of marches actually determines a lot whether I think I could take someone in the field. Now, this one, highest power dead, that I touched on a little bit, right? Usually you're not going to get into this screen here just because it's another click, and sometimes you just want to be able to quickly read someone. But if you could see someone's highest power is about roughly where they're at, and they have a high number of deads, that means they're actually sustaining that power KVK to KVK, right? And what that indicates is that the power is probably more of a reflection of their spend. So if someone has 100 power, their highest power is 105, they have 100 now, and they have a lot of deads relative to their ID level, that means they're killing the troops off and then they're training them back, and they're able to hold and sustain that power. If someone has a highest power like 150 and they're at like 92 now, right? Maybe they popped all the way up there for Zenith or something, I don't know, or they used to be a spend and they're not now. It actually gives a little bit more information, which is why I said like you could use it to formulate a couple other opinions, but it's not really that important. I think the 3 over here on the left and then the number of marches is actually what's most important. And then finally, the commanders used, right? If you see Sun Tzu's on the field, it doesn't matter what the equipment and armament is, there's just a cap on their top end output. And usually the commander used, it only shows up when his commander is not in the meta, right? So if I see like a Monotore on the field, right, where I see like a Herald, what that tells me is that commander is like 4 generations removed now. Maybe this person used to be a spender and they're not now. It will embolden me to be a little bit more confident against this person, even if all the other stats seem impressive, just because what other reason would they be running Herald on the field for, or a Monotore, or even like Chandragupta, right? And I think like XY is slowly kind of falling into that category. Not quite yet, probably like in another like 3 or 4 months. If you see an XY on the field, it's just someone who's probably not spending much now, right? And they're not spending much now. Maybe they got their stats early, but they're actually not really able to keep up with the meta now. You could be a little bit more aggressive. So this next one, this is my latest gear, armaments, and where my commanders are at. The biggest thing I want to actually highlight on this is that to get 6 pieces of gear, right, you need to at least reach a minimum threshold for it to be effective. So let it be like a cautionary tale, because I went the wrong way to do this. I decided in KVK 2 that I wanted to run 6 marches, right? Even early on, like before KVK 1, before I was even spending, for some reason cannon was important to me, and so I knew I wanted 5 sets of gear. So early on, right, I would still work on my top set, top 2, top 3 sets, but I was always working on 5 sets early on, and that actually held me back from having good gear, relative to the number of sets I'm running. Because you can imagine right here, right? Let's just say I am running 3 marches, right? And this first one, third one, and fifth one is my best set. And I didn't spend any materials into this second, fourth, and sixth set. I could consolidate it into my top 3 sets. I would already have 3 really, really, really good pieces, 3 sets of gear. But when I go wide and I spread it out, not only do you have to have the armaments to be able to match it, but then you need to spend gold heads into like more commanders. It will actually limit how effective one commander can be, right? So in my opinion, if I can go back, I would actually build out 3 sets of gear and 3 commander pairings first, 1 for each troop type: archer, cavs, and infantry. And once that I get that to a good place, then I'll work on the 4th, then the 5th, and the 6th, and not all 5 at once, and eventually all 6 at once, without actually getting 1 to a high place. Now, I, for the most part, caught up now. I know you can still see a lot of purple, even some blue, so it looks kind of ugly. But the pieces where it needs to be legendary are legendary. The armaments are in a good place. So I'm just finished KVK 6, right? I haven't started KVK 7. It was only about like the middle of KVK 5 where I got to enjoy the fruits of building 6 marches. But up until about the middle of KVK 5, I would say it actually hampered me and held me back. And I said this before. Coming out of KVK 3, I only had about 200 kill points, 200 million kill points, which is really, really low, right? If I could go back and do everything, but just work on 3 sets, or even 1 set, then 2 set, then 3 set, I think I probably would have been about like 1 billion kill points coming out of KVK 3, but I just didn't know, and so I made that mistake. But now that it's over and I have 6 sets anyways, it's not that big of a deal. But the point is, if you have 6 marches and the gear is at a minimum adequate place, even if you're fighting someone who has 5 marches and their gear is ahead, they've been playing longer, the extra march will be able to make up for a lot, right? So if your spend level can support it, you do want to think about expanding to as many marches as possible. I think for most people, it's probably 5 or 6. For 7, you'll have to spend a lot more, just because to even be able to unlock the 7 march in a fast enough time for it to be worth it, you need to spend a lot more on crystal tech. Just for reference, for me, I buy every pop-up when KVK starts, and then I max out the first 2 mountain warfare. That's like at a minimum. If I need to spend more, I will, but that's like a minimum what I do. So if you're not willing to do that, then 6 is probably the limit for you, because that you could get the 6 march unlock pretty quick. But that's my opinion on that. All right, next we're going to go over some profiles. I blocked out some of the ID number, the name, the alliance, and the kingdom, because I just wanted to be able to pull it out. And these we're going to go over. I haven't looked at them more than once, just because I want to almost be able to cold read and just go over what I think. But if I happen to pull your profile, which I don't think that many people watch my videos, it's not meant as an insult. I don't even really know how you do. It's just like what I would think if I saw this profile. Okay, so this first one, right, you see a 113 ID. So for me, what that tells me is they're maybe about like 8 months older than me. The power is way higher than me, right, 107 million. But the KP is at 2.6 billion. So I'm right about 2 billion, actually like 2.1 billion, right? So they have about 8 months, so maybe like 2 KVKs more than me. But they only have 600 million more and a very high power. Without even looking at this bottom part, right, first thing I'm going to think about, first thing I would think is that this guy was probably a big spender early on in KVK. And if you look at the deads at the bottom, right, that's like a pretty high amount of deads for that account age. And for such a low KP, probably a high spender that was able to kill a lot of troops early on, and probably not much of a spender now. This is the account that was bought, right? So this is the account that was bought early on, and then whoever bought it isn't actually managing this account that well. If I saw someone like this on the field, if I have 6 marches, they have up to 5, I would confidently take them, and I'm like very high confidence that I could win. If I saw someone like this on the field that has 6 marches, I would still actually give myself maybe like a 70% chance of winning. They did probably spend a lot of money, but that KP is really low for someone with that many deads and that much power. It just, you would expect it to be higher if it was someone effective. So that's kind of my thoughts on this account. Okay, if you look at this next one, you can see the ID number starts with 20 million. So this account is way older than me, right? Maybe like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, probably like 3+ years older than me, and they have less KP than me, right? It doesn't matter how many marches this person has. If I'm running like 3 marches and this person has 5, I'll probably still try to take them on because they've just slowly accumulated the KP over time, and they have less KP than me. It just, it's like a classic account, like, oh yeah, 1 billion kill points, they hit the 1 bill, but for such an old account with a low KP, I'm confident I could take them on. Okay, this next one, a 36 million ID. So right, the rule of 33, right? So about 3 years older than me, and this account, 3 years older than me, 6.7 billion KP, 96 million power, right? And if you look at the highest power, 112, so it's not that far off, and they have 21 million deads. This account, if they were running 6 marches, I think they would be able to destroy me. Just because he has so much more time to accumulate equipment and build up his commanders and everything, right? If they were running 5 marches, I think it would actually be pretty close. And I was running 6, just because they're ahead, but I don't think they're that far ahead. And also, for someone that's been playing 3 years longer than me, right? So basically, you think 4 KVKs per year. So they have 12 extra KVKs. And to have 4.7 billion more KP, that means that they're actually not averaging that many KP per KVK, right? Because if you were getting 500 million per KVK, you're doing 12, that would come out to 6 billion KP, and this person only has 4.7 billion more, so they're probably not even averaging 500 million, which is about 30 million kills at KVK. So this is an account that, for me, I think I could probably catch them in 1, at most 2 more KVK, but if I fought them right now, 6v6, they would probably beat me. 6v5, I could probably beat them, and that's my analysis for this account. This next one, that power is very high, right? 150 million power, and then the KP is even lower than the last one, right? 4.7 billion. If you look at both of these IDs, I think I pulled these two from the same kingdom, right? So they're both 36 million. So they're, again, both about 3 years older than my account. And if I'm at 2 billion KP and this person's at 4.7 with 22 minutes, so the deads match up to the account age, but the KP does not match up, right? So either this is a bot account, so someone bought this account and just hasn't done too much of it since, or could even be like a dead account that, someone played it a lot and got these stats early and don't do much of it now. This one, if I actually saw 6 marches on the field and I had 6 marches, I think I would have a better than 50-50 shot, right? Whereas this one, if I saw 6 marches on the field, I think I would be at a disadvantage, probably 70-30. This one, I think it would probably be like 60-40 advantage for me. If this person has 5 marches, I have 6, confidently I would take them on. And anything less, I would take them on. And again, like this account, probably 1 more KVK, I would be confident 6v6, I could probably beat them like 80% of the time. Okay, this next one, I actually know who this is. All the other ones before, I didn't even really remember. I just wanted to pull it up and then go over it the first time without thinking about it. This one, I actually know who it is. I'll just stop there. This was also towards the end of the KVK, so their normal power is a little bit higher, right? You can see their highest power is 86 million. So their normal power is usually around like 80 to 86 million. My account is even older than the last two, right? So this is probably like 3.5 years older than me, and they're at 7.8 billion kill points. if I saw, and a really good amount of deads, right? If I saw this account on the field with 6 marches, they would destroy me, absolutely no question. But I think this person actually runs 4 or 5 marches, and that would actually make more sense. I didn't really talk about this earlier on. I think the amount of marches, and again, you actually probably have to spend or the farms to support this, but the more marches you run, just the easier it is to rack up higher KP, right? Like, I'm not talking about getting 500 million or the 30 million achievement, or which is usually about 500 million KP. I'm talking about the people that are getting like 1, 2, 3, or even more billion KB kill points per KBK. When you're running less marches, it's just a lot harder. You need to play a lot more, even if you have efficient trades, right? But like you just need to play a lot more to rack up the KP. So the KP is almost 8 billion. Usually if someone's at 8 billion, I talked about this earlier, I don't think I have a chance. This one's close. I would say right now, because I know what this person runs. I think it's 4 marches. If this person was running 6 marches, with this profile, they would destroy me. If they were running 5 marches with this profile, I would think I probably have a slightly less than 50-50 chance, and then anything less than 5. So if they're running 4, which I think this person does, I could take them, but not because my account is necessarily better. It's just like with the 2 march advantage, I could take them. Now this last one is actually one that the most blatantly wrong I have been about account. This happened in the last KBK. So you can see their ID is 96 million. I'm 132. So if you do the roll of 33, they're about a year older than me, right? They're about a year older than me. Their power at the time was 77 million. Again, this is towards the middle end part of KBK, and the highest power is 90 million, right? 4.6 billion KP with a year more, so 4 extra KBKs. That means they were getting about 700, a little less than 700. They're averaging about a little less than 700 million kill points for KBK with that extra year. And when I saw this person, they were running 4 marches, I think, 4 or 5. I'm like, okay, I think I have a chance to take this person on. And then when I actually fought him, it was 6v4, right? The roll of 2, I had 2 extra marches, or yeah, they have 4. I'm like, okay, I have an advantage. And as soon as I started fighting, I'm like, good God, like I think it'll actually come down to the wire. It'll be really close. He was surprisingly stronger. But then like in the middle of the fight, 2 other marches joined in. I think they were like a lot weaker. You know, they just kind of saw an opportunity. They jumped in. So 6v4 turned to 8v4. We ended up wiping him. I think I had like 3 marches left. But after fighting, I'm like, if those 2 people didn't jump in and it was just 6v4, I think this person probably would have beat me. It was close, but I think they would have beat me. And I actually ended up messaging them. And what he just sent me was this. One of his marches was like Orgo Luce, and he just sent me that gear, right? And then I was like, did you run like 5? And he goes, no. I'm like, oh, thank God, you're running 6. I feel better. He goes, no, I was actually running 4, right? So let's actually go back to this account, because looking at this account, right, part of the reason why I thought I could probably take this guy on, even though his account age is only 9.6, is if he had a year more than me, but he's averaging about a little less than 700 million KP per KBK, then that means like his output isn't that much. Because like for now, I think if I have a KBK and there's fighting, I don't get 1.5 billion KP for any KBK now. I would actually be disappointed in my performance, right? So looking at this, I thought, okay, like he's ahead of me, but he has 4 marches. We're probably about in the same level of spend, but because I had 2 extra marches, I probably should have had the advantage. But now looking back now, I think what actually happened was because he doesn't run a lot of marches, it's probably limiting his top end KP he's able to get, even though his marches are really, really effective, right? So for example, while I was coaching him, because his deads are really like they're good, right? His KP is not bad, but for how strong he was with his 4 marches, I was gonna expect like a little bit more KP out of that. This guy, when I found him, I felt like someone that probably should have been like 8 billion KP. If I was gonna make a recommendation to him, I'm like, hey, you know, you need to start building out your 5th and 6th March, because like you're already there. To really expand the effectiveness of your account, I think that's what would have made a big difference. Again, just felt like a lot of rambling. These are just my thoughts, and you know, who the hell am I to judge an account, right? I have like a year and a half old account, 2 billion KP. There's people that know and played way more than me, but you know, you have to come up with an idea to make a video. Why not talk about some of the stuff that goes through my head? And here's a video. So if you watch all the way to the end and listen to this, hopefully you got at least some entertainment or value from this. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to the video, and really helps out the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.